You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Bjorklund.
In Proverbs 17, we encounter the idea that the crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests the hearts. So God is at work refining us, and He will evaluate what we do. And then we get these collection of sayings that in some ways, again, seem disconnected. But here's just part of where I do see some connections, and that is the way that we use what God has entrusted to us. Verse 8, a bribe is like a magic stone in the eyes of the one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he prospers. Now, a bribe to us is a very negative term because we assume that it's used always in a negative sense. In fact, verse 23 says, the wicked accepts a bribe in secret to pervert the ways of justice. So certainly a bribe can be used inappropriately, but the way Proverbs uses this idea of a bribe is saying that we use what God has given us, what God's entrusted us to us, our resources, as a way to gift others or to bring good to others. Sometimes we think that we can curry favor with people without bringing any harm to ourselves through a bribe. And again, that's an inappropriate use. But here Proverbs seems to indicate that again, there's a way that is positive to use our resources. And then verse 9 says this, whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates close friends. And so we want to use the hurts that we've experienced in our lives to show love to others. Sometimes we think we can hold a grudge and there will be no negative impact, but being refined means that we see our resources as not just our good for us to use for ourselves, and we see our hurts as a way to express love. So instead of bringing up the matter over and over again, destroying the relationship, simply saying we choose to love in the midst of what is happening. And then verse 10 says, a rebuke goes deeper into a man of understanding than 100 blows into a fool. And this is using our perspective or our learning to help others. And then I would add this, verse 21 and 25 talk about this idea of parenting. He who sires a fool gets himself sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy. Verse 25, a foolish son is a grief to his father and bitterness to her who bore him. And this is a double exhortation, one to the parents to prioritize teaching our children to fear God above all and to train them to have common sense. And then to us as children to say that our way of life actually has a huge emotional impact on our parents. Sorrow is a Hebrew word that has the idea of grief, and it's used in Psalm 119:28. No joy is clearly just saying a failure to rejoice or have delight. Grief equals, again, just this idea of anxiety, displeasure, annoyance, bitterness. Means just what it sounds like it means, but those words together connote this hardship of the way of life when we don't use what we have. So what is being refined here? Well, what's being refined is how we see our stuff, how we see our hurts, how we see our past lessons, and then how we steward this family relationship again that God has given us. Again, just this beautiful picture. Grandchildren are a crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. Using and prioritizing those closest to us to bring glory to God is something that is life-giving, and that is something that Proverbs uses. I want to come back to verse 14. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but it says, the beginning of strife is the letting out of water, so quit before a quarrel breaks out. When water gets out, it can't be contained, it can't be retrieved in any way, and it can't be predicted where it will go. Once a leak starts, you can't control it, you can't retrieve it, you can't predict it. And so part of just the underlying piece of getting along in each of these environments is saying, I am going to be wise enough, to be refined and controlled enough to not start down a needless argument in the people's lives that I'm part of. And so today, where do you have the opportunity to invest something that God has given to you?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.